Even with the various efforts that's been made by the federal government to ensure that our correctional centers or our prison system conform with international regulations, a visit to any of these centers will show that there are still very many anomalies. One of such is the lumping of children or young persons under the age of 18 along with adults. There's no law that permits that. But then because of the dearth of juvenile correctional centers, sometimes the police or the prison system has to accommodate children or adults or juveniles in all these centers. And so on resumption of its duties, the Presidential Committee on the Reform of our Correctional Centers is now focusing on juvenile correctional processes. And that is why they have now started a tour of juvenile centers across the country, and there are very few of them. There are just 3 of them across Nigeria owned by the federal government. But then Lagos State has come in to intervene in this area. That is what we're going to be focusing on the scale of justice today. Welcome to the program. I am Femi Okeowu. The Presidential Committee on the Reformation of Correctional Centers resumed its tour of correctional centers across the country, looking at the intervention of the Lagos State government in juvenile correctional centers. And when the committee went round to the 2 facilities available in Lagos, one specifically for girls and the other for boys, it was an impressive sight. We're going to have you join us on that tour to Lagos. It was also supposed to include the tour of the Ogun State facility too, but for now, let us start with the Lagos one, which should serve as a model for other states that intend to come in to complement the federal government's effort in this area. So join us on this tour of the Lagos State Special Correctional Centers as we have in this program. The Nigerian criminal justice system does not allow juveniles to be incarcerated or remanded in correctional centers along with adults. But the experience of the Presidential Committee on the Reform of Correctional Centers in the last 3 years of its existence shows that this rule has always been violated, with children found in various correctional centers across the country. This is why, on resumption of its tour of correctional centers, focus is now on juveniles and efforts to reform them. How are you today? It's nice to meet you, yeah. It's nice to meet you, yeah. It's nice to meet you, yeah. Hello, hello. How are you today? It's nice to meet you, yeah. Lagos House was the first place of focus where chairman of the Presidential Committee led other members to inspect both the male and female juvenile rehabilitation centers located in Idiaraba for female and Oregun for the males.
We're working like with the child right law in this home, and that's the section 2 to 3 of the child right law, which makes us to be a consultant. So basically, without the care order, we don't have made any work in the home.
Well, actually, we're here not to make any releases of anybody. It's not within our competence to do that. We're here essentially for the purpose of seeing the excellent work the state has done, because we feel once we're able to make this situational assessment, we'll be able to make our report as a committee complete. Because one of the most worrisome challenges of trial judges is the moment when they come to decide where to remand, order remand of the young ones. And the public is increasingly getting worried over the practice of sending the young ones into the adult incarceration centers. Now, when we decided as a committee set up by Mr. President to come here, is because we are aware of the fact that such an institution has been put in place here, both for the males and the females. And we want to see how it works, or the two work, and then we make our reports, which might lead to replication of this kind of formations across the country to enable the correctional service center improve the standard of handling the young ones behind incarceration. This is the purpose why we visit here, and then to make some interventions that will also enhance your work.
Thank you very much, sir.
It's a pleasure.
So aside from that, there is a school within the premises. That is going to happen.
Okay.
We have those that go to secondary school outside, depending on their cases. Because of course, the criminal child will not license to do with criminal aspect. Except it's not even possible for us to allow her to go outside the premises. And others that we do allow to go outside the premises, we have to make application before the courts. For them to be aware that this girl is go outside.
Because it's just the court that ordered the remand.
And those that we know that have this abscondment history, because they go outside once they have your parental control. Because we don't want to speak up, maybe they will abscond from school. And hence it's going to be a lot of problems in history.
How do you reach out to parents whose children disappeared but found with sufficient address of contact of their parents? How do you go about that?
The first thing we do is like usually when the child comes into the home, we can have the word. It's a word that can talk or can write. You give the child a paper to write and write and so based on that again, if the child knows where she is coming from, fine. And doesn't know where she comes from, you know the next thing to do. So usually when the child is placed in the home, we have what we call care plan. And that is to start with care plan. The care plan has to do with it's like immediately the child comes into the home, you start working on how the child is going to be released. So the care plan is we interview the child, we ensure that it's friendly environment. If not, the child won't be like most of that always first interview that they will tell you everything about yourself. Can we take them a while first day so that then aside from that again, we have things that we do here. We have pregnancy kits that we have to test them to if the child is pregnant or not, because they have been found on the streets. So anything must have happened. Then we now, of course, we register the child, we make sure that we stay with the child. Then every first period, aside from us, because like I told you earlier that we are custodians, we have an office that does the work of social investigation. It's also in the child right now. So it is them that are in circle with the work of investigation. So So every first Tuesday of the month, we normally have a meeting here, sir. We call it IBM, Investigation Board Meeting. That's where we review the cases of the wards in the home, whereby there are cases the case file will be assigned to various offices, depending on the jurisdiction the child is being found. So it's like we have we call them FSS officer, that is Family Social Services officers. So and we have this in almost in the local government in Lagos State.
You cannot allow them to be on the street. Let's give them on the street and bring them here. Even their parents, they know sometimes that they are here and here. They come for visiting like that. Because we also, like I said, we investigate the parents too. Some of them are not like, most of them, their parents, they are having like 7, 8 children. And if one is out of that, they are even happy that So sometimes they come here and they see the serenity of the environment and all that. They say, okay, this place is even better than my home. Better stay there. You still call them to beg them to come out. But sometimes you don't compel them. Because if you force them to have them, they just go back to the system. That is what we don't do.
We believe that the correctional system needs the intervention of this foundation because we help promote access to criminal justice, and we also help in promoting the accessibility of human rights regulations, let me put it like that. And so we believe being part of this project will help curb that distance, so to say, and help these children, those that don't have representation. We believe that with our presence, we'll be able to help these children with that representation.
With the kind of facilities found in the two centers, Justice Ishaq Bello said that they can serve as model for other states in the country.
Very touching and pathetic. We saw a lot of children who were picked from the streets, from various nooks and crannies of this country, and put together. Some of them, their parents are yet to be located, but with the graciousness of the Lagos State government, regardless of from where these children were found, who came to Lagos and roaming the street, they were picked. Some of them have never seen a doorstep to any classroom, but today, a lot of them who had started from nursery, they have accomplished grade level 6, they call it, plus 6, right? And some from the story we gotten have even graduated, practicing various professions as graduates, some even overseas. This is in no mean an achievement. I can see whether humane consideration has really been brought in within the policy of the Lagos State government. Nobody can fail to be touched emotionally looking at these young children that have been gathered together from various nooks and crannies of Nigeria, just roaming in the street. It shows high sense of responsibility. It shows high sense of humanity, humane considerations, not only prompted by the desire to curb out crime and criminality at infant stage through removing these young ones off the street. We have seen a lot, and we have gathered a lot of information and data, right from the females incarceration center, the remand home, and where we are today. This is how it should be. From our experience going around the various correctional centers of this country, we had seen where the section where females are is just a fraction of where the males are. And most annoying aspect of it is that anytime there is jailbreak, the males will always first target to where the females are. Now, with this kind of arrangement, which we have seen here in Lagos, where the females are kept far away from the males, such instances can never occur. We commend the Lagos State, and they deserve to be applauded for this achievement. The administration of justice on the young and children and the young persons poses a lot of problem, because if a judge in Abuja, Niger State, Kebbi State is to order an interim remand of a young person, perhaps till the case comes up next in 3 days, if he is to go strictly by the requirement, he has to go and send him to Kaduna. Now, meaning in the next 3 days, that same young person that will appear in court, he will have to be brought from Kaduna. This poses problem not only to the correctional centers in terms of infrastructural facilities, it is also odious looking at the distance from Abuja, Niger, Kebbi, for such young person to be brought. The paucity or minimal existence of courts for children and young persons across the country must be addressed if juvenile justice is to be given its rightful position within the structure of our system. It is quite certain. Anytime a judge has compelling reason to order remand of a young person, he keeps on thinking tortuously, how do I do it? One, we don't have remand home here. Various governments may engage in mass housing constructions to provide shelters, but I must say that they should understand the imperative need to address, nipping at the bud, crimes in the young ones through making provisions of the appropriate institutional framework for addressing these biases in the young ones, the earlier the better. Look at the beautiful arrangements we have seen in terms of psychotherapists and many other arrangements that will address the mental capacity of the young ones. They are psychologically, in so many aspects. And I am not in doubt by the time these young ones that we have seen, they are out, I assure they will be 900% responsible citizens. Because they are not mixed with the adults in any correctional service center, where they will learn much more cruelty, much more sophisticated ways of organizing crimes. They will not be subjected to molestations in terms of unnatural offenses, homosexuality, and what have you, which is part of the in-house bully, which I believe you are doing your best to address that with the CCTV put in place for that purpose. I hope that at the end of the day, we will have replication of this standardized institutional framework across the country, whether by the federal or state government. This will also go to curb certain unprofessional outfits organized by certain private individuals, where they only know torture as the yardstick for reformation, with very little arrangement for psychotherapy and other educational facilities that will make those chaps being with them to be refined persons when they come out. They will come out more brutish, because that was the method used in addressing the vices in them.
Of particular interest to the Presidential Committee are the academic and vocational education being given to the inmates. This, the committee says, should also be replicated even at the federal level, which has only 3 juvenile centers across the country, one in Kaduna, Ilorin, and Abeokuta.
The issue of remand homes is a very old history. State governments ever since have found a way or the other to put in place remand homes within their respective states. I don't know whether it is part of the clamor to have their own prisons, which was the case in the regional days. But all I can say here is that I have come to the Lagos state, and it is by design from the committee, because we want to come and see what facilities are here, how do they run the structures, what are the means by which they finance the institution and the personnel who takes responsibility for their salaries and what have you. Now we have selected about 4 states. The reason being we want to enhance juvenile justice across the country, and we believe part of our report should be very comprehensive enough when we submit our recommendations to Mr. President as to what's to be done to address child crime. All right? Now, Lagos is one of the states that we have now pinned down to visit, and I can say so far it is an excellent experience. For them to think of having a particular segment or a unit within the structure of the correctional unit to go around for the purpose of picking abandoned children, all right, regardless of which corner of the country that child happens to come. And some of them never saw any classroom. Today, the history is that quite a number of such children brought in had gone through here. Some of them are practicing quite a number of professions as graduates. And it is very, very pathetic. At the females' center when we went there, one of them could not even talk. But she's there in the classroom. Some of them, they don't even know their parents. And the Lagos state government has deemed it not only desirable but necessary to go around and pick these people. Some were reported to them, all right, and they put them from nursery to university level. And even those that could not go to primary school, when they leave here at the attainment of maturity, they follow them to see what they are doing meaningfully in life. Now that is curbing crime at the early stage. As I said while inside the conference hall there, governors might consider it compelling to be constructing housing units for purposes of shelters, but they must understand the need to put this kind of structures in place and then well-articulate enough system for them to address crime in the young ones.
Juvenile justice is a major component of Nigeria's justice dispensation system. So far, the experience has been that states have always used the excuse that the prison system in Nigeria is under the exclusive legislative list of the Constitution. And so that gives them an excuse not to do anything about juveniles that are found on the wrong side of the law in their states. But the Lagos experience has shown that states can do a lot to intervene in the justice system, particularly the juvenile arm of it in Nigeria. We are going to be focusing on this area. It's a big area of concern, that is juvenile reformation. So many children, either for circumstances beyond their control, find themselves on the streets. In the Lagos experience, it's not just people who offend the law alone that are put in this area. There are people too that are found on the streets and either are into drugs or anything. And in order for them not to have their lives wasted, the Lagos state government picks them up and puts them in these centers. It's a way of reforming those street children. Thank you for being part of the program today. We shall be focusing on other areas of concern in our justice system. We'll see you again.